I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis, a mystifying trope. An angel with a cudgel breaking bubbles of soap. Like honeybees buzzing around a hive. Everybody buzzing about HoopSpeak Live.
Hey, welcome to HoopSpeak Live. I'm your host, Beckley Mason. With us, as always, Zach Harper and Ethan Sherwood-Strauss. Our guest today is Amin Elhassan from ESPN. We're going to have some great insight from him on the Suns. But first, we have a new sponsor today. Our show is brought to you by the new TNT drama. This is a big deal for us. Skiles, starring the former coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'll just read the promo here. Detective Scott Skiles delivers his own brand of rough justice as he dispenses with those who won't help the helper. Once a coach at the School of Hard Knocks, now Skiles is out on the streets and banging heads of anyone who shoots, whether they're open or not. Sounds like a good show. Would you guys watch that?
Oh, definitely. And it is in keeping with that kind of show because you have a bald white man. If you want somebody going rogue or playing by his own rules on TV, you need to be a bald white guy, preferably a bald angry white guy. Scott Skiles fits the stereotypical profile.
I was a huge fan of The Shield, and I cannot wait for Rizzoli and Skiles. Like, it's going to be so good.
Oh, yeah.
I was tweeting about that a little earlier, and Jim Cavan tweeted something, a scene of Skiles walking up to a court and like, baseline. They always go baseline. How do you know? Blood on the rim, still fresh. What are you thinking? Ellis. It's always Ellis. I just think
who could have predicted that Monte Ellis drove Scott Skiles crazy, by the way? Who could have seen that coming? I couldn't. Didn't see it coming. I had no clue.
Yeah, that was really a match made in hell. And I love the quote that someone who knows Scott passed along to Woj and Yahoo that he hated the team. Maybe that's why he wouldn't play the good players all the time. But let's go to we have so much to talk about. Big NBA day. Kevin Love is hurt. And Ethan, you're a little bit of a Kevin Love doubter. Zach in Minnesota. Tired of the Kevin Love haters. He's going to be out for a few months, I believe. So, Zach, Ethan, take the bacon. Are the Warriors doomed because Kevin Love is down?
I believe it's Wolves, Beckley, not to correct you. Although it's funny that you say Warriors might be doomed in some sort of construct where they win fewer games or lose a few games, and the Wolves swoop in and take one of those playoff seeds. But I'm a Kevin Love lover, Zach, don't let Zach trick you. He's playing both sides of this. He's often, tempering enthusiasm for Kevin Love in his local fan market, and then to us he presents this this Kevin Love glorification face. Don't believe it. There are some inconsistencies at play here. I like Kevin Love. I don't like this iteration of Kevin Love, who looks like he has the body of Louis C.K. / Will Ferrell since coming back from injury. He was killing the Wolves since he came back. And I believe that the Wolves are a good team, even without Kevin Love, because they've added so much talent. Andre Karolinko and Pekovic work really well together. I like their combination. Ultimately, my ideal Wolves team has a healthy Kevin Love, but that's just not the reality right now, and they're better without him in the short term.
That's so much to respond to, so many inaccuracies that you just spew out of your newly bagel-hating, loving mouth. You just love to hate bagels now. It's just disgusting. the Louis C.K. his torso is actually still quite intact and quite in shape. He's got the flabby arm. He's got the 50-year-old woman arms where she doesn't hit the gym and she's got that jingling thing. Like that, it's just the arms because he hasn't been able to lift weights because of the hand. That's the problem. But really, to pretend that this team is better off without Kevin Love, even a bad Kevin Love, is just insane. His work on the boards, he stretches the floor. They don't have anybody at that position to stretch the floor. I don't think teams are really going to be worried about Derek Williams yet. I mean, he's played better this year, but he's just not quite the threat that even a bad Kevin Love is. And this team, Adelman said, you can go a quarter and a half, a week without this guy. But if you keep extending, and they've really now have no chance of having a good Kevin Love for probably the first 3 months of the season at least, eventually this team is going to crack, and there's no way this team is better off without even the bad Kevin Love.
I don't know about that. What's the biggest flaw in the Wolves right now? What is it?
They can't score.
But more specifically, what's their flaw?
They can't score. That is their problem.
They can't shoot threes. Kevin Love, since hurting his hand, has been awful. He's just been awful at shooting threes. And a lot of the misses, they're not even in and out.
Sure. I mean, here's the thing. You take away his three-point attempts on the season, they're still last in the league.
It's a very good point. That's very strong. I got to say, I might even
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm very conflicted on this as Ethan spirals into darkness. I'm very conflicted on this one. I think if I could cut it down the middle, I would say Kevin Love probably should have shut it down until that hand healed. I didn't like how they were playing defensively with him on the court, and I thought he was hijacking offensive possessions when his health wouldn't allow him to. Maybe not obviously to some people. To me, they are a better team when he is healthy, but I think they will be better in the short term without unhealthy Kevin Love than they would be with unhealthy Kevin Love. So I'm apportioning some of the bacon to Ethan, and I'm eating the majority of it because I am so smart. Ethan, as celebration for your bacon victory, would you like to present a rumor?
Oh, a rumor, eh? Yes. I will present a rumor. I do have one. It's a little forward-seeking, a little forward-looking. And I get a lot of my, just so you know, I get a lot of my rumors since I get asked about this, a lot of emails about where these come from. I do have a crystal ball. They are predictive rumors, and when I looked in it this morning, I saw that Stan Van Gundy would be coaching the Lakers next season. That was just what I saw. It's where it comes from. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just an objective fact that was swirling around my crystal ball. And because if you listen to Stan Van Gundy on the radio and on TV, he's actually on great terms with Dwight Howard now. They text all the time. They're in constant communication, despite what happened to them. If this Lakers season goes down the drain, and they've already lopped off a year of that D'Antoni contract, they already have a lot of money from the cable deal. Couples break up and they make up. They get back together. And Stan Van Gundy is the best coach available of coaches who aren't coaching. I could see it. I'm not telling the crystal ball that he's crazy for envisioning Stan Van Gundy coaching the Lakers.
Yeah, I think that there's absolutely nothing to that rumor. This is a good rumor in that it's only coming from your head. But I would like to see what Van Gundy would do with Kobe in particular. His system, he obviously knows what to do with Dwight. But I would be curious to see if they kind of moved Kobe into like a Turgaloo role, like as that secondary point guard running a lot of pick and rolls and shooting threes. And I would also be curious to see if he ever played Metta World Peace. It is astounding to me that he's on the court. Like, I guess he has to be on the court. They just don't have many guys. But some of the possessions, I'm just going to go hightail. I'm going to pull a Metta World Peace here and hijack this possession. Some of these possessions where he gets the ball on the wing and dribbles for 12 seconds and looks off Nash and looks off Kobe and then shoots a step back drive me absolutely insane. Like, the potential for really cool basketball on the Lakers team is very high, but the amount of possessions that go just into utter wasted grossness is also very high, and he's responsible for some of that.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think it's fascinating whenever he gets the ball, and I think it's fun basketball whenever he gets the ball. And actually, he's been pretty good since D'Antoni took over. I mean, maybe that's just with expectations being low, but he's been pretty decent. As far as your point about Kobe, I'd be interested to see how he hides him in Stan Van Gundy's defensive system, because that's really the problem, is all the dribble penetration. You've had, J.J. Redick, who's a decent defender but not great. You've had Jameer Nelson, you've had Hito Turkoglu, all hidden within the Stan Van Gundy defensive system. What could he do with Nash and Kobe on defense? What kind of disappearing act could he give them? That's fascinating to me.
I like the idea of Stan Van Gundy as a Houdini for other people. It's not even about him making people better. It's whom can he hide? What guy can he disappear? Can we bring Shaq out of retirement and him just have Stan Van Gundy hide that whale in the paint with some sort of camouflage? I like this idea of a premium coach hider.
All right, excellent rumor. Good talk, guys. Good talk on Stan Van Gundy. Now let's bring on our guest, Amin Elhassan from ESPN Insider. He's been on the show a couple times and used to be with the Suns. Very insightful dude. Amin, how are you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Oh, we can get you a little in and out. Okay, let's start right with some of the big news today, which is the Rudy Gay possibility of a trade to Phoenix. Jared Dudley rumored involved, and probably some sort of pick or something to kind of make it even out. What do you think about the Grizzlies getting rid of Gay just generally? Do you think that that's a smart thing that they should be shopping?
Well, the team's performed pretty well without him in the past. The general consensus is if you had to sacrifice one guy on the team, it would be him, particularly with their payroll looking the way it is and them being Memphis. On the other hand, other than Conley, he's the only guy that can really create his own shot from the perimeter. So I would worry about that, I guess. But if you want to get specific about this rumor, I think it'd be a home run for the Grizzlies personally. You get a guy like Jared Dudley, a team guy, a shooter, a spacer, and a high IQ guy, and maybe a pick to boot, and then you save a bunch of money. That'd be incredible for them.
Ethan, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, it froze up on me. I'll jump in right now. I also think it would be a pretty cool deal for them. Do you think that the Grizzlies, as presently constructed, can win a championship? I might be a little reductive in how I'm thinking about it, but I just believe that when Rudy Gay is shooting the most shots on your team, that kind of nixes you from the conversation.
Right. I don't know if it nixes you from the conversation, but that's not the best way for them to go about it. Obviously, they're an inside-out team. You want to get it to Gasol, let him create. You want to get to Zach down low and get some high percentage looks, and then everything else kind of flow and operate off of that. And that's why a guy like Dudley really would fit in pretty well with that, with his shooting ability and his IQ and his ability to pass the ball. Just as presently constructed, they can't afford to have Rudy Gay making what he makes and playing the way he does, a role that is a high usage, high demand for the ball kind of role that they want to win a championship, that is.
I guess my question is why do they do this with Phoenix? Like, I get that Jared Dudley is a nice role player and he can shoot, and they need shooting, but you really are taking away a lot of playmaking with that team and maybe putting more of the onus on Tony Allen or Jared Bayless off the bench. Like, I don't get why you don't bring in a guy who can at least handle the ball a little bit.
Well, I think you underestimate Dudley's ability to make plays off the dribble. He's not a guy that you can throw on the wing and say, ISO, go get me one. But in terms of coming off screens and in terms of using the threat of his shot to create space and then put the ball on the floor and make plays, not only for himself but for other people. And he's a very underrated passer. I know the numbers don't show it, but he's a guy that if you watch, he's got his eyes open, and he's pretty good at delivering a solid bounce pass to bigs around the paint. I think it's more of a case of a better fit in terms of making sure the ball goes to where it needs to go. Now, are you losing that ISO ability from Gay? Absolutely. But the question is the sacrifice, is what you're sacrificing, is that less than what you're gaining in terms of a harmonious, synergistic style of basketball?
Yeah, it seems like a sort of a distant cousin of the Harden Martin deal, in that, because both teams are so stacked, they have guys who can soak up that usage, and it might be that the way that happens actually, allows them to not miss a step. Is that sort of the thing that you're seeing or predicting?
In the words of Phil Weber, it's the same but different. It's the same in the sense that what you just explained, in that they're able to absorb that lost usage and still remain highly efficient offensively. But it's different in that I think Oklahoma City could have kept Harden, and he would have been happy to continue to subjugate his game and play the way he was playing. With Rudy Gay, that doesn't, it's not as much as Harden. It's not as clear cut as him accepting that role of, hey, I'm here to make the other guys look good. Rudy Gay is, in his mind, a star, so it's hard to ask him to, dumb his game down or whatever you want to call it. But the other similarity is, obviously, from a financial standpoint, Oklahoma City and Memphis are two small markets, and the only way they're going to continue to compete and stay persistently successful is if they do smart cap management and keeping Rudy Gay on at the money that he's making, and he's probably not going to want a pay cut on the next deal. They have to make a move sooner or later.
Okay, so two teams that are right around 500, but have been playing a little bit better. But I don't know if you've caught Boston recently. I thought has looked really good, especially on defense in about the last 4 games since Bradley has come back. And Lakers on the other coast, just the hits keep on coming. Are you optimistic about either of these teams in the playoffs?
Well, in Boston's case, yes. They're not out of the hunt. They play in the East, so you're always in it until almost the end. And they've got They've got a couple of young kids in Bradley and in Sullinger who can, I think, help them along the way. In the Lakers' case, when it rains, it pours, huh? The tough part for the Lakers is just they've been hit with injury after injury, and a lot of tumultuous times have been going on, and they play in the West, so it's a lot more difficult. And, the question isn't can they go far in the playoffs. The question now is, are they going to make the playoffs? It's kind of scary, but it's true. They may not make the playoffs.
Amin, you told us over Twitter that you have the perfect adjective to describe me. I am just waiting with bated breath on this because I assume it is exceedingly complimentary, and I love compliments. So if you could just tell us what that is, I'm dying to know.
Well, I had to find it out, and then I said, that's kind of corny, and I left it back in my desk. And then I come on here, and I hear you talk about your crystal ball and the rumors that sprout from it. I wish I brought the sign. The word is cockamamie. Hashtag cockamamie. Every time Ethan tweets, ladies and gentlemen, just hashtag cockamamie. Just reply, hashtag cockamamie. Retweet, hashtag cockamamie. As long as the hashtag cockamamie is in there, don't say anything else. You don't have to comment any more than hashtag cockamamie.
I feel like you haven't adjusted for the fact that you've softened on me. I really do. Because you have fewer specific issues with stuff I say. You just have it in your head that you're anti me, but I don't think that you are, or are as much as you were.
No. I'm not anti you. You're anti everything. I've never seen anyone. I've known some great contrarians in my lifetime, but you take it to another level. You're really special. It's a special trait. You should be making money doing this. Honestly.
I kind of am. I mean, I don't know if that's the best thing in the world, but I come by the opinions honestly, cockamamie as they might be.
I tell you, I mean, I think we got a great idea for a show. Me and you, just we'll have Beckley throw out the topics. I'll be the status quo, and then you can give me the cockamamie angle. And the name of the show will be #cockamamie. It'll be a ratings bonanza. We'll push First Take out.
I know we're hijacking the show here, but I just want to know. But like, what's the cockamamie thing? I need a specific example. What thing have I said recently that's been so cockamamie?
If you'll allow me to check my Twitter feed, let's see what the last thing you tweeted was. Let's see, Sherwood Strauss timeline. Scott Skiles stuff was on point. Okay. If Pekovic told you your wife tasted like Cheerios, it's because she's dead and in his stomach.
That's just true.
That's factual.
Let's see.
We're agreeing on things.
Just
you have to embrace the new dynamic.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I'm really trying to buy in, but sometimes all I can do is just shake my head when I'm looking through our timeline and see some of the things you tweet.
I mean, Ethan's craziness aside, I find it to be quite crazy when someone like the Lakers will go through a bunch of injuries, and it takes away continuity, and it takes away any chance of chemistry and like a regular rotation. And people, I feel like with other teams, it's they'll be fine like once they get healthy. But with the Lakers, it seems to be we're reveling in this problem. Continuity doesn't mean anything. What is your take on this? Like, would a month together really help them?
I mean, a month together would help, but then what's together? Arguably they had everyone together for a few weeks there, but Dwight's a shadow of himself, and Nash is still kind of coming back from when he went through, and Powell was in and out. And so it's just too. I mean, it's not one thing, it's another. And if you're telling me you get a month of them together, 100% healthy, then they still have to resolve the issues of how Powell fits in, how they can better feature him, and will Kobe sacrifice some of his individual production to help everybody else play better. And I think that's one of the stories that's kind of gone under the radar. Kobe's playing incredible, but just because you're playing incredible, that doesn't mean that's the best thing for the team. Leading the league in scoring and being highly efficient, sometimes that's not good enough. Sometimes you have to give back a little. It's like taxes. We all got to pay taxes so that those less fortunate than us can be taken care of. And right now, Kobe Bryant is the ultimate Republican who wants to pay the lowest possible tax rate.
I love that. That's great, man. Well, thanks a lot for swinging by. We gotta get moving, but this was awesome, and I will assure you this hashtag will catch on with at least the 50 people watching today.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna say. I purposely held off, but I'll start doing it now. Thanks, guys.
All right. Let's bring on this question. So we're going to take some audience questions now, and there's a really good one in the queue. Let me bring it on up here. It's from Quinn Andrews, and it is, do you think the Pacers should use Granger off the bench when he comes back? 4th best starting unit currently and 26th best bench unit. This is interesting because this is something that the Pacers struggled with last year too. Their starting 5 was really strong, and then their bench would get smoked in the playoffs, and this was especially a problem when the rotation shortened. What do you guys think? It's an interesting idea.
I could see them go in that direction. I hope that Rudy Gay never comes back. That sounds terrible, but there's a bigger thing the Pacers are playing for. Not never comes back, like for another team. Because the Pacers are playing for history right now. The Pacers have the #1 defense and the second to worst offense in the league. I just want to see a team finish with the best defense and the worst offense because that's so hard to do. And Granger's going to screw that up by making the offense better. So not to derail that, that's my main concern when it comes to the Pacers. I said,
I think the Bucks. I think the Bucks actually came really close to that a few years ago when Bogut was still there and walking the earth. I think that they should do it to bring him back until he's healthy and his game condition is up. But as a long-term solution for the rest of the season, absolutely not. Like I think it's a terrible idea once he is back to being Granger.
I don't know. I would be curious just to see what it looked like. I wonder. A lot of teams bring someone back off the bench anyway when they first come into the game, which I find interesting because then they end up playing against more guys who are already hot when they come into the game, whereas like the starting unit, everyone's cold. I've always thought that was kind of weird. Anyway, they do that, and it might be worth just testing it out. And if it's like amazing, you can play him 30 minutes a night. He's working his way back into health. It might be something to do. They definitely need to figure out the rotations when he comes back so that hopefully they can spread it out a little bit and not have such a terrible disparity. We had one question from the chat, which was whether J.J. Redick will ever miss a shot again. I actually was able to text Hollinger. He's still a source for me. It's a pretty big deal. No big, And his statistical models says that J.J. Redick will miss his next shot. Whenever that is.
Impressive.
I still contend that Allen Houston never missed a shot. I never saw Allen Houston miss a single jumper.
Allen Houston never missed a shot and always carried. Always carried the ball in that inside-out dribble and also never missed a shot after doing that inside-out dribble that wasn't really a dribble. What I believe is funny about Redick is he's the guy where the most people say, J.J. Redick could really help a team. He could really help a team. And A, he is helping a team. He's helping the team he's on. And B, what is it about Redick that makes people say that about him all the time more so than anybody else?
He's a shooter.
I think he's a shooter
who
has grown skills, like being able to pass off the move and especially off the dribble. And so people are taking a while to catch up to that. And as you say, obviously the Magic know he can help their team. He's doing that. He's taking a lot of big shots for them. So I'll be curious to see, when the rubber hits the road, what they're willing to part with, what teams are willing to part with if they want to get him. I had a conversation once where I argued with someone whether J.J. Redick was more valuable than O.J. Mayo. And interestingly, both of those players have gotten better this year. And I think it is, despite how well Mayo played at the start of the year, still fairly close. But would anyone give up a player of Mayo's quality to get someone like Redick who isn't going to have the ball in their hands except for when they're running off screens? It's going to have to be a team that's already good, right? That's going to want to make a move for him. And maybe that's why they bring it up is like, okay, you know who they could really help? Any team. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a bad team or a good team. Just throw him on the court and he'll make them a little better.
Don't you think there might be something racial happening too there where it's there's something conveyed where it's, hey, I know you think that he's not really good because he's kind of like a white shooter guy who went to Duke, but he's actually a good basketball player. He's actually good. I believe, and I can't prove it, there's some of that in what's being conveyed in that sentiment.
Assessment.
Corey Maggette was the same way.
Same way.
We also have a question about the Hornets, Ethan's favorite team. Anthony Davis playing some good ball. They just beat the Spurs. Eric Gordon is back. They've got 48 games left. Is 30 wins attainable? So that would be a pretty darn good record over the second half of the season with the lights out, assuming Gordon keeps getting better and better. Vasquez is, tall point guard. They've got some pieces. Do you think they could make a run and kind of creep into the playoff discussion?
Is it bad that when I hear lights out, I think of Anthony Davis getting another concussion? Because that's my primary concern when it comes to the Pelicans/Hornets. They don't seem to do a very good job taking care of that kid. He's fantastic. They have they have better talent. They have an odd mix of a really good talent level in the front court with Ryan Anderson and Davis, but then they also might lead the league in guys who just might not be in the NBA next year when you look up and down their roster. They have a lot of how's this guy in the league, and he's not going to be in the league next year. So I believe it's attainable, but I need to see a better run of health from Anderson's been healthy, but from Davis. And maybe some more playing time for Ryan Anderson. I don't get why he comes off the bench. He's good enough where I think he should be getting closer to 40.
He is.
I don't think coming off the bench is not a bad thing. This whole idea needs to go away, that just because a guy comes off the bench, he's not getting, one, enough minutes, or two, being used properly.
Yeah, but I want to see I want to see him with the traditional starters minutes because he's kind of the best player on his team. So it's less about coming off the bench and more about the amount of playing time he's getting.
It's tricky.
He's the best player on the Pelicans.
I think he's been the best player on the Hornets.
Yeah.
Oh, I disagree.
Who would your best player? Vasquez?
Austin Rivers?
No, it's Anthony Davis. Even in limited minutes, Anthony Davis has been better.
I just do not believe that. I just don't know what to say. But to Ethan's earlier point, every time I want to get excited about the Hornets and I see Roger Mason on the court, I have to temper that excitement. They just have some really terrible players. All right, we're at the end here, so we're going to go dagger smash noted. My dagger is sort of a catty one, but it's also with a little bit of understanding for John Wall. There's some pictures that were circulated in the post here in the chat. Mr. Wall looking a little beefy coming off of his injury. He hasn't been able to move as much on the knee. He's always very, very slender. Now he's got a little heft to him. John Wall, come on, man. Like, I just want to be so hopeful for you. And the Wizards and these pictures, I don't know. It's making me sad. This is why players, when they come back from injury, aren't right away. Is they have about 15 pounds of muscle/fat to convert.
Yeah, they're used to burning more calories throughout the day. Speaking of burning calories and putting on weight, I want to deliver a smash in the direction of Beckley Mason, who has ruined the bagel for me. He's ruined it. I was very excited about a new bagel place in Oakland. They make a Montreal-style bagel. I would recommend you guys try it because it is delicious. It's a smaller bagel, more condensed, boiled in honey water. If they have that style of bagel in your hometown, check it out. Except, and I wanted to just indulge, but Beckley told me that bagels are terrible for you. Apparently, they have a bunch of sugar in the bagel. Bagels, they don't taste like they have a bunch of sugar, but you made the analogy that they're essentially a slice of cake. And now that I know that, it's ruined it. I've been under the delusion that I was eating this somewhat healthy breakfast food. Now I think I'm eating cake. It's totally messed it up.
Breaking news: the bagels are still made the exact same way they've been made for the last 100 years.
Yeah, the bagels made the same way since some guy in a shtetl in Poland was making it 1,000 years ago. Nothing's changed, and yet, I'm blaming Beckley for the spoiler alert here. There is a bit of an inconsistency with that.
Not to make just only same race comparisons, but my noted would be that much like J.J. Redick at the start of his career, Jimmer Fredette is a good player. Like, in limited minutes, yes, but he's been a very good player this year. He's able to create a shot now. He's knocking down those shots. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the league, so when he gets to the line, it's automatic. This whole idea that Jimmer Fredette is not good or won't be good in the NBA is really just about dead. If he can get to a good team that isn't the Sacramento Kings, one that knows how to function as even a mediocre franchise would be great, we'll see that he actually has use in this league as maybe a 7th or 8th man, and a very important 7th or 8th man.
A very important 7th or 8th man. Yeah, I had when I was playing pickup in DC, it was right after Redick was super good in the college, and people started calling me Redick. So the only, or not Redick, Jimmer because I was the only white guy, and they just call whatever white guy the white guy. And I had to start telling him to like stop calling me that once he got in the pros because it was like a problem. And now if I ever go back there and they do that, I will wear it with pride. Jim Fredette, get into the line, 5.5 times per 36. Good job. Thanks to everyone from the show today, Amin, everyone who watched, and James for producing. Roger Bain, take us out.
I taught my bird to whistle like a referee. I can make a free throw when I'm down on one knee. I've been a fan of basketball since I was 5. Now I am a fan of HoopSpeak Live. Hilarious analysis, a mystifying trope. An angel with a cudgel breaking bubbles of soap. Like honeybees buzzing around a hive. Everybody buzzing about HoopSpeak Live.